Hey, and welcome to the world of small talk, where we have small conversations with deep implications. I'm your host, Nate Pearson.
And I'm Ronald Taylor.
How are you doing today, Ron?
I'm good. I'm tired, man. The week of summer camp hasn't even begun, and I'm already, needing a Red Bull or something. But it's going to be awesome. We're pretty excited, so...
Yeah, I had a monster this morning, and I was just having the inner battle of trying not to get a second one for my health. I was like, one's bad enough. We're not going to...
It's like, Hart, how do you feel today?
I mean, hey, I don't understand the argument on caffeine, because it's like we have all these studies that it's bad for you in this amount, but then it's like, hey, take this pre-workout before you exercise. It's like such a divide.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's all a money-making scheme. You know, they're like, if I can get you guys feeling like you're invincible for 20 minutes, we'll make it happen.
I think Planet Fitness is funding the caffeine pre-workout haul, the advertising.
That's right. Free caffeine and pizza on Mondays.
I wonder if they have given anything out since COVID.
I don't think so.
But they used to do a lot.
Yeah, it was I think it was the first Monday of every month they would do free pizza. And my wife was like, we got to stop going at night now because I can't go roll up in here with Domino's everywhere.
Trying to work out.
Yeah, because it's it's right there at the front. So as soon as you walk in, you're punched in the face with Domino's.
And a slice couldn't hurt.
Now I got to work out. Do I want to eat before I work out? Do I want to grab a slice on the way out? Am I going to get shamed for grabbing a slice on the way out?
The judgment-free zone.
That's right.
I swear Planet Fitness is the most judgmental gym of all gyms.
Yeah.
Other gyms are not problematic.
Absolutely.
But if you walk into a Planet Fitness, you're instantly looking around.
It's they're trying so hard to make it judgment free that they're judging everybody that could be judgmental or intimidating. And so it's they're the only gym that has an alarm to shame people.
Yeah.
You have a gallon water jug? You got a gallon water jug? I'm going to ring the alarm on you.
Bruh. I don't understand their hating for large water bottles.
Dude, I'm just trying to hydrate, bro. I'm a big boy. I need to hydrate.
That's a trend right now to have the large water bottle with how much you're supposed to drink in the day.
Yeah.
Planet Fitness is not here. Here, take a Pepsi instead. Okay, let's go into the first topic for today.
Let's do it.
Okay, well, I got to get to where I'm supposed to be first. How to stop people from stealing our bamboo. We grow bamboo in the front of our house every year. There's always a different person who chops off and steals our bamboo. They chop it off in a way that it destroys the bamboo, and they always mess up the garden and sidewalk. Example, dirt is everywhere, even on the sidewalks from yanking the bamboo out the ground. Trash is everywhere. They not only took the bamboo, but threw stuff back in that doesn't belong and requires cleanup. And they do it at night. By the time the police get here, they're already gone. We usually find out when we get up in the morning, and we find out the bamboo find the bamboo garden trash and bamboo missing.
Daggone, man. Not the bamboo.
I want to know where they're growing bamboo at. Is this like another country or in America? They mentioned at one point, I omitted it, it's a different people of different ethnicity stealing it, so they know it's different people. And I wonder if this is just a neighborhood prank. They missed the HOA meeting, and everyone else is all right, who's stealing the bamboo this time? And
hey, we're gonna go steal Karen's bamboo again because she gets real mad.
The thing about bamboo is, how are they growing it this quick? Because I thought, I could be wrong, that bamboo, it takes a lot of care before it sprouts, and when it does sprout, it shoots up. It takes a long time. I don't want to say wrong. I thought it was months to a year for you to even see the first sprout on a bamboo, or even more. But
they might just be cutting it at the base, and so it's still sprouting.
Okay.
So they're not unrooting it. They're just stealing the bamboo itself. Not uprooting it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a bamboo expert.
Yeah, I'm not a bambooologist.
What do you think they should do?
I'm just laughing at the thought of them coming out of the front of their double wide trailer, and he's like, "Judy, somebody done stole the bamboo again."
Plot twist: it's a panda.
Kung Fu Panda had that.
I might get canceled, but they're looking out. They're like, they're black and white. It's a panda.
Oh my goodness, dude, that's so weird though. I mean, it's also kind of weird that they went to a forum to ask people how to get their bamboo from being stolen. They're like, man, I'm at my wit's end, dude. Like, my bamboo is gone.
I've tried everything else. It's time for the internet. Why don't
dude,
you
yeah.
just
So, I mean, answer number one, booby trap. Like,
yeah. You try to steal bamboo and spikes just fall on you? Like,
yeah, I mean, I would make spikes out of bamboo. I would dig a pit, like a trench around my bamboo forest. And then I would take some bamboo and I would turn it into spikes, like in the Indiana Jones movies. And they would be trying to they would try to steal bamboo, but then they would get stole by bamboo.
Is the goal here to kill them?
I mean, they killing my trees, bro.
Oh man, bamboo has a higher value than human life, confirmed.
You could bamboo greater than humans. Or like, I don't know, you could put up a fence with like barbed wire on it and turn it into a bamboo prison. Prison. We're really the opportunities are endless. It's really about how much money you're trying to spend.
I mean,
like, how important is this bamboo to you?
Yeah, I mean, someone had just mentioned like putting up a sign that just says video surveillance, but I feel like
or no taking my bamboo.
No taking my
swiper, no swiping sign.
You could get a guard animal, maybe a guard panda. They're just like,
and you pay him in bamboo.
Yeah, you pay exactly. You have a system that's sufficient, like it's self.
You hire the Kung Fu Panda and pay him in bamboo.
You just hire Jack Black,
and he defends. And he defends your bamboo forest with karate.
I mean, it seems foolproof to me. Like, I don't see anything going wrong in this plan.
Yeah, that's weird. I mean, because you could also, video surveillance, actually put up video surveillance. And, because, nowadays, you throw up a Ring doorbell anywhere, and all of a sudden, whenever you see movement, you can be like, oh, excuse me, I see you. Stop trying to take my bamboo.
Oh, I don't know where anyone's growing bamboo that I could think of.
Or on purpose. It's got to be some, you know how if you're driving down, even here, there's our main road back here, you're driving and it's trees on either side, and then out of nowhere you kind of see a little just conglomerate of bamboo trees.
Yeah, you do see those randomly. It's.
So I wonder if it's just they just have this random group of bamboo trees on their property
that they cherish greatly.
Maybe they're bamboo farmers. I don't know.
That's a career I've thought about going into. Okay, so this one on a more serious note is I'm hungry even after eating. I know I have a poor diet, but there's only so much I can do with a minimum wage. Any advice on how to improve my diet without it being so costly? Because I know that even though I'm eating and I'm not getting the necessary nutrients and all, which is why I'm hungry all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's tough, especially being on minimum wage. I know, man, the hardest thing about trying to eat well and being faithful to that is how well you're able to finance that. It's so much easier to buy a pack of ramen noodles or rice or hot dogs or whatever, or even going through a drive-through of a fast food restaurant.
Which,
and go ahead.
No, you finish your thought.
And so through that, man, it's super hard to navigate that. I think especially when you don't have a knowledge of cooking well. And cooking good things, because you can make things that are healthy in bulk, and then eat on that. But I think with that is going to come a lot of sacrifice. What was that thought you had before?
I was just going to say, I think we need to stop the misconception. Not that what you said was wrong, but that rice is unhealthy. Like, I think that's a big, like, misconception, because there's some entire cultures that rice is the staple of the food, but I think it's just a type of rice that you buy.
And the quantity that you eat it in.
Portion size, that's the biggest thing. Like, you can't eat, I mean, you could, you have to get a balance on nutrition, and I think that's the problem. You can't eat just rice and meet all your nutritional needs, but... I think if you, like, it's not going to be the best flavor-wise, but, I mean, you can get frozen vegetables pretty cheap. Even canned vegetables are cheap. It's just, you know, when it comes to flavor, you got to be creative in ways to make it be what you want.
Yeah, no, and it's all about discipline. You know, like, you know, Rach and I really come into a season of, like, where we're just trying to cook consistently, you know. So, like, we go out to eat one day a week, or actually 2 days a week. So we do a Friday night, date night, which sometimes is at home, but we like carve out that time for ourselves, and then Sunday after church we'll go out to eat with a group of friends. And so every other, you know, day of the week we really want to be faithful to cooking a meal, and honestly, like, the majority of that is like a protein, rice, and a vegetable. You know, you can literally get a steamed bag of green beans or broccoli or corn for $1 in the frozen section, you know, but it's also discipline. You know, like, you really have to discipline yourself to buy groceries, and you have to discipline yourself to cook these groceries and to use your groceries.
Buying groceries is the worst.
Yeah, it is. And now I will say, though, shout out to grocery pickup. Yeah. Because, man, we do Walmart pickup, and it really helps us adhere to our budget, because you're able to compare prices, you're able to take things off, add things to get to where you want to finalize your total. And two, you're not walk up in a grocery store hungry and you're like, you know what, that looks really good right now, and you're going to grab it. Because for the most part, you're just going to search what you want and put it in your cart. You know?
That's true. When I do cook, I get in spells where I cook a lot and then I'll fall off and then I'll cook again. But I usually buy certain proteins and I'll freeze them and thaw them out before I cook them. I'll eat, like, it'll either be chicken steak, pork, something like that, and then I'll cook a vegetable. And even though I know it's not the best decision, usually something like instant rice or mashed potatoes is pretty easy to pair along with that. So at least you're getting your nutrition, like, it's balanced, but it's not, you know. I think the biggest problem is honestly finding cheap, healthy meat items. Like getting fresh stuff versus frozen. But, I mean, if you have to do frozen, that's not the end of the world for a time being. Like,
oh, yeah, and I think, you know, when people talk about eating healthy, I think so often people try to jump to the extreme of, I have to buy all organic, I have to buy, like, no additives and all this stuff. And it's like, okay, I get that. Like, I understand wanting to have the cleanest, you know, products. But, dude, man, a lot of these products are double and triple what you can get just in a frozen section, you know, things like that. And I definitely am an advocate for fresh produce. Like, but in that, man, go check out, you know, a local farmer's market, or, you know, places like that, like those little hole-in-the-wall stands. Like, sometimes they're overpriced, but sometimes you can get really good deals on stuff. But it's just, it takes work, and I think it's a lot easier to get off of work and be like, you know what, I just want to swing by the drive-thru and grab something because I'm exhausted, rather than taking the time to go to the grocery store ahead of time, or, you know, do things. And you can meal prep, you can make a casserole and say, hey, like, this is going to be 2 or 3 of our meals this week, so on and so forth. You know, like, I like to do a casserole one day a week, so I know that we can either, you know, sub that for some lunches this week or sub that for some dinners, but we've got some days of the week that we're covered on. And at the end of the day, you know, even if you're buying this frozen produce, if you're buying these things that, you know, are not chemically enhanced, I guess, or are not processed foods, you know, per se, you know, some people would argue that frozen foods and canned foods are processed, but, you know, in a different way as you going to get a McDouble. You know, like, you're taking a big step in the right direction by buying this produce and cooking meals on your own.
That's true. And usually frozen food, if you buy the right things, are less processed than canned items because the freezing of it keeps it...
they're just blanched and frozen,
Yeah, it's better than what they put in a lot of the canned items, because it's a lot easier to keep something fresh frozen, or good to eat frozen, than it is without freezing it.
Yeah, and if you concentrate on, making your meals, vegetable heavy and protein heavy, you will fill up quicker than if you're taking in a bunch of carbs. Like, carbs are good. I'm not advocating for, like, a hardcore keto diet. Like, carbs are necessary in a diet, but, man, if you can eat a lot of fruits and vegetables and still come in well under a calorie intake that you would, in eating fast food or, ramen noodles for dinner or, fill in the blank,
You can eat, like, I think a whole bag of frozen vegetables is less than 100 calories.
Yeah.
And you'll be full after eating it, I guarantee you. And it's usually only like 99-cent bags if you buy the brand at the store.
Yeah. Heck yeah, dude. It is. It's $1 for, I know, at least the Great Value or the Steam Fresh at Walmart. $1. So you can't beat it.
Yeah, and one last thing I'll add is this is coming from someone who lives in America, it's a lot harder to lose weight in America than it is in other countries because our foods have a lot more added sugars than other places. Like, even down to something as unhealthy as a soda. Our soda has more sugar than a soda does, like, say, London.
Yeah, so, like MSG and sodium.
Yes.
It's like addictive.
It's an uphill battle, but I mean, it's one that you can win.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Workplace dress code, hair length for men. So my boyfriend wants to grow his hair out, but his hair is at a length that is not long enough for all of it to go into a ponytail. His job is pretty strict about looking nice and professional, and they have no issues with long hair if you can pull it back into a ponytail. He really doesn't want to cut it, but he doesn't know what to do, and neither do I. What can we/she do?
So he can have long hair and a ponytail, but he's just not there yet.
Yeah, he's not there. He's in the awkward in-between stage.
I wonder if you can put it in, like, a little tight man bun.
Yeah. Or, like, somehow, like, gel it to where it's, like, either back or to the side or something. I mean, it's different. I don't know. It'd be different if he was working in a factory, like, where it could be dangerous. But it sounds like they just want him to look neat and professional. So, I don't know. If it's a job you've been at for a while, I feel like they should be able to understand, hey, I want to adhere to your policy. I just need another month, please.
Yeah, because, I mean, I think there's ways of definitely making it look presentable, especially with, like, some kind of gel and slicking that back. And it could even, especially if it's not long enough to be put in a ponytail, obviously, like, it's short enough to kind of style to where it's not dangling everywhere, and it can look professional. So
it also... sorry.
No, you're good.
I'll say it also depends on, like, the type of hair that he has. It's hard to style. It might be hard to style it if it's really, like, thin and flowy rather than coarse. Or, like, is it, are we looking at, like, white hair? Or are we looking at African American hair? Like, it's really, those are all factors. Yeah,
no doubt. And it said, was it
when a new job? When she said ponytail, so I assume... but I don't want to make that assumption.
From the mountains of Caucasus.
Yeah. What was your question, though?
And she said it was a new job.
I want to double check on that. I don't think it was a new. Oh yeah, there was a second interview. So
okay. Yeah, I think through that there should just be also just like a conversation with, like, the hiring team or whoever he's been correlating with and saying, hey, like, I have a goal to grow my hair out into a ponytail. I'm not quite there yet. Are there ways that we can compromise on this?
Yeah.
When styling it differently. And then from there, I mean, there's really only a couple of options, right? Like, I'm going to take this termination because I don't want to cut my hair, or cut my hair because I like this job.
Yeah, well, it looks like you exceed all of our qualifications, but your hair, we just can't hire you here.
It's so weird, man. I mean, it's like, it's funny because that topic just brings me to, like, that old school, just, like, church culture or even just Bible Belt culture in the South, where it's like, you can't have hair that's touching your collar, and because long hair's for hippies and hippies worship Satan, or, so on and so forth. And it's just like, dude, it's just hair,
It's just hair.
I'm balding, so I don't even have the option to grow a ponytail, because then it would turn into, like, some kind of creepy ponytail in a cul-de-sac type deal, and I'm not about that.
I don't think like the older culture understands that shorter haircuts weren't popularized until Rome. Not saying that everyone had long hair before that, but it was a lot more common, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, so should I go to a job even if I think I failed the drug test? Got an interview at a job over a virtual call. It went really well, and she told me to go to the job for a second interview with the store owner. They drug tested me, and I think I failed. They sent in the drug test, so we won't know the results for a few days, and they want me to start working tomorrow. Do I show up anyway, even though I think I might have failed the drug test, or should I not waste their time?
Well, bro, stop doing drugs.
Oh man, yeah.
There's your solution. I mean, everybody listening right now, don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs.
Literally, look at what it does. Look at what it does to people. Whitney Houston herself said crack is whack, and that thing came back and beat her up.
What if he's just eating poppy seed muffins on the regular?
Oh my gosh, I consume infinite grains of poppy seed every day. That's why I failed the drug test.
But I promise I don't do drugs.
Man, drugs will mess up your life, dude.
Yeah.
Like, just don't do it. Because the reason that they drug test is because people that do drugs are usually unreliable employees. You know, like, you cannot function at your highest. Because even if you are a proponent of marijuana, like, you are not at peak performance level at a desk job or a factory job or things like that. Like, you might be feeling great, but you are not at peak performance. You know, you're not sober-minded in that. And so, dude, just stop doing the drugs.
So let's ask the question here, though. I don't know how drug tests work in states where marijuana is legal for recreational use.
Sure.
I don't know if a failed drug test still stops you from getting the job there, or if they're like I'm not sure how the legislation crosses over.
We are testing for cocaine.
Yeah, like if it's cocaine or heroin, something like any of those. But I mean, I'm not saying I'm an advocate for or against any of, like, in terms of marijuana use, but like someone drinking alcohol at home or smoking at home and it's not affecting their job performance in a place where they're both legal, that's just kind of like a area I'm not very familiar with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think, on the alcohol side of things, there's not really, like, if you get a blood test or a breathalyzer test, if you had a drink the night before, that's not going to show up.
Yeah.
The next morning.
But marijuana will have traces.
Yeah, but the marijuana will, And so in that, I think, okay, that can be a back and forth conversation on how that's affecting your performance. But, honestly, it's like if they're drug testing for marijuana, they should also be drug testing for, other drugs that would surely wreck your life.
Oh, they'll test. They have the long list of things.
Mm-hmm. And so in that, like, devil's advocate, show up. I mean, like, because you don't know until you get rejected.
Yeah.
And so, like, because if you did pass the drug test and you don't show up,
you don't get the
now you're not being hired because you didn't show up.
Take the risk. And then don't do drugs if you don't.
But the other side of the thing is like, bro, you were applying for a job. You couldn't even wait. It's like you're literally applying for jobs, and you still have the knowledge of like, yeah, I'm going to smoke up or I'm going to do whatever before I'm trying to get this job. Like, how bad do you want this job?
That's problematic.
Like, it sounds like your priorities are already out of whack.
I agree.
Like, it's like if you're not prioritizing getting that money, like, you ain't gonna have no more drugs to get.
Yeah, how are you gonna buy the drugs? Come on.
Yeah, so that's just crazy. Like, dude, just don't do drugs.
Yeah, that's so plain and simple.
Just don't.
Concise. Don't do drugs.
But to answer the question, just show up to the thing. Whatever they say, no. Realize maybe I should stop doing drugs like a moron, and get clean, and then get a job and work your tail off and like do good things in life, like don't just waste your life away, doing drugs and not reaching your full potential.
Very true. Okay, this is simply labeled cat/cars. In no way, shape, or form trying to be a Karen, but I've been putting up with this for months.
She's a Karen.
Just unsure of what to do. I've had 2 cars and have to park them outside on the driveway as my parents use the garage for their cars. We have got new neighbors around 6 months ago. Shortly after they moved in, they got barn cats, and quickly I started to notice problems. I love animals, which is why I put up for this for so long, but it's enough now. The cats for months keep climbing on my cars, and our outdoor neighbors don't cut the cat nails or anything, so they damage the cars when they jump on them. It seems small, but I spend a lot on both my cars when I wash them. The next day, they have paw marks. The paint started to flake where one of the cats landed with the nails. At this point, I need a car cover for both my cars. My parents talked to some of the neighbors and they are experiencing the same thing. I am a very quiet person and keep to myself, so just walking up to the neighbors is really hard for me. What should I do?
See, that's where she went wrong. That was the first thing, right? Like, man, on a non-serious note, there's this thing called a Red Ryder. And it's got some pellets in it. And that'll take care of your cat problem real quick. But I'm totally kidding. Like, don't shoot the cats. All right, don't be that guy.
Especially if they're on your car.
Like, man, I'm not gonna do that. I wouldn't do that. Teach their own. But those cats are their property, and you could face repercussions for killing their animals. And also, just don't be a sicko.
Yeah.
Don't just kill their pets.
PETA is now watching this closely.
But like, yeah, as I have deer mounts. But like, in that, your answer is literally, why would you go to the World Wide Web and speak to everybody else about this issue that you have with this one person, right? Man, like, as a believer, like we see in Scripture, like, man, if you have a problem with somebody, you talk to that person. And if that person's not willing to listen, then you bring another party in to mediate. And then if that doesn't work, you bring more people into it. And if that doesn't work, you bring it in front of the church.
Yep.
Right? Like, there's a level and there's a process, right? There's a chain of command there. And even outside of the church, like, we see this in legislation, right? We see this, just in society. Like, people answer for their consequences. And they, represent themselves. And so in that, you need to go speak to the owners of those cats, because you really do have a big issue on hand. This is a big deal. Like, it is, I think it's wise to not just let this go, right? Because cars are expensive.
Paint jobs is expensive. Very expensive.
And like, you get a scratch in your car that leads to peeling, and that leads to your paint, your clear coat coming off, and then now your car's going to start rusting, right? Because it's now out in the elements. Like, that can escalate and devalues your car, right? Our cars are our assets to us, and you're getting messed over because they're not, focusing on their animals. They're not taking care of their animals. But in that, who's to say that they know, right?
Yeah.
You have all these neighbors talking about this lady's cats, or this man's cats, whoever's cats. You have all these people talking about their cats, but nobody's spoken to them about it. It's like they're talking to them like they're the cats, right? Like, they're putting the cats out there to climb on vehicles and to scratch up paint. They bought them as barn cats. They bought those cats not to scratch paint, right? They bought those cats to take care of their mouse problem.
Yeah.
And
what
so
if it is a nefarious plot?
Do what?
What if it is a nefarious plot?
It's like Doofenshmirtz. Like, I'm gonna buy cats, and they're going to scratch up everybody's cars, and I'm going to buy car dealerships, and everybody has to get new cars.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I'm going to take over the tri-state area.
Tri-state area. But I had the same thought when you talked about how to address it. The scripture, that my mind went to the exact same, place.
Yeah.
I understand anxiety. It's hard. But if it's an issue and you live with your parents, could you at least not have them go over there with you, or have them, if they, they're invested enough, they might go talk to them for you. If they've talked to other neighbors, I mean, they care about you. You're their child.
Yeah. And it's like, man, I deal with anxiety. Like, I've dealt with depression. Like, I am fully versed in all of these things. But I honestly think we're really coming into a season of where people are being able to excuse themselves.
Yeah.
And other people are excusing other people for not having to deal with confrontation. Right? And you think back to being a child, right? First day of school, like first presentation, like first so on and so forth. Like there's anxieties behind so many of our firsts, and if we're not used to talking to people, especially in the age of a pandemic, right? Like if we're not used to consistently talking to people, of course it's going to spur anxiety.
True.
But once you start doing something consistently, like it will get normal. It will get better, because nothing is ever as bad as it seems. Right? Nothing is ever crazy as it seems. And I will say, this is a different level of confrontation, because it's like, hey, your animals are messing up my property. You're going to have to, there's a consequence that you're going to have to face for that. And I think that does bring a different level of consequence. But you definitely have to take that step, And yeah, whether it's with a family member, a friend, bring somebody with you, right? Go for that. But going to everybody else but them is not going to fix your problem.
Yeah. And it's also how you approach them. If you come at them very angry, of course you're going to have negative confrontation, a negative confrontation experience. But I would say 9 out of 10 people would be understanding of the situation, and they probably meant you no harm. Now, as far as asking for reparations and repairs, that's either they might be nice enough to offer it, but you didn't tell them after you first noticed it either. Mm-hmm. You let this go on, so any further damages are partially on you. I hate to say that.
Yeah.
But
well, and you would have to prove that it's their cats doing it.
Yeah.
Because there's a little bit more red tape that comes into that area. So it's you would have to have photo evidence of their cat, being on your vehicle, and so on and so forth. But once you have that conversation, I think there are moves past that and saying, okay, well, you could get up there and they say, oh man, I'm so sorry, oh my gosh, I had no idea, we want to do whatever we can to help remedy the situation. Or they can say, well, that's not my problem, prove it, so on and so forth. Well, if that happens, there are other legal avenues you can take, right, to try to stake your claim and remedy the issues that you have, and scratches and paint damage and so on and so forth. But none of that is going to happen until you have that conversation.
And this has been... I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
This has been your advertisement for Nate and Ron, attorneys at law. Please call us at...
But strictly cat cases.
Yeah, only cat cases.
Only cat cases.
So we got one more. I think we have time to squeeze it in.
Deal.
All right. So wife wants to prioritize having a child, but I want to start a business. Can we do both? So like the question says, I'm a 27-year-old male. My wife's a 23-year-old female who's a stay-at-home wife, wants kids now as we're making some good money, so we can probably afford it. I like the idea of kids, but I have some ideas that I think are good app ideas. So I guess some, mobile app ideas, and I want to develop them while I also work at my 9-to-5 IT job. Should I put my business project on hold and focus on the child, or should both of them be manageable at the same time? Or could both of them? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think one of the biggest hindrances toward people wanting to start families is finances, right? I think that is an overwhelming majority, and then the next step is time, right? And I think that's what we're seeing here with them. Now, I always like to present the situation of, okay, well, what would happen if you just got pregnant outside of planning? Would you be okay? Are things lined up for you guys to sustain that? And I think they are. He says they're well off, so on and so forth. And so, okay, well then what happens if you're already in this business venture and you accidentally get pregnant? Well, I think the answer to that would be, what I would do is I would continue to try to work in that business venture, whatever it be, the app, so on and so forth. And then if it gets to be overwhelming, right, okay, well, let's take a step back and reevaluate. Especially when you're doing things on your own, you can take the time like you're the only person you're responsible for, right? It's not like you are having to deal with other people. So yeah, I mean, keep doing your 9-to-5 job, whatever. But, and I'd say that to kind of come into the lines of starting that business venture. So, okay, well, you guys want to start a family? I think, well, if you think you're capable, like if you are good at time management, like if you can do these things, if you're going to try to do it while you're in the middle of that business venture, go ahead, give it a shot. And if it's too much, just pull out of it. Like people say no to things or not right now to things all the time. Like that's okay.
Make sure you pull out of the business venture and not of having the kid with you. That's
yeah, that's right. Don't put the kid up for adoption.
I guess we can't do both.
Yeah,
it's been a good year.
Don't do the business venture. Because I mean, their priority is your family.
Yeah,
right. Like your wife needs to be taken care of. Your kid needs to be taken care of. And I think there's ways that business venture could be profitable, right? To where your family's even more taken care of, but your time is so much more valuable than the money that you can give, And so make sure that you're able to be present and put that work in as well. But if you think that balance is not there, if your wife is communicating that balance is not there, then you guys should probably reevaluate. And so that being said, maybe start that business venture, but hold off on the kids now. And that's to say, I'm not in your relationship. So your wife could be feeling really strongly about this, and you could be feeling really strongly about wanting to have kids, but also the business venture. So you guys want to try to give it a couple months or so to see how this thing starts up and what your time looks like, and then go from there. Or, pull the trigger now, start trying to have kids, do that, or just wait until your kids are a little bit older, doing the business venture as well. Like you have options, but it's all going to be about time management.
Yeah. And those are all good points. I was thinking about, I think, of your kid being a little bit older too, which I guess if you're in the world of tech, things go by so fast that you might miss your opportunity and someone might develop what you're thinking of. But I have 2 points to make. I'll see if I remember the second one as I talk about the first one. But the positive thing that you have going in your corner is as long as she doesn't have to get a job for finances. She did say she's a stay-at-home wife. So childcare is handled. That's a benefit most people don't have.
Yeah,
now,
absolutely.
Obviously, you still need to be present in the child's life on a regular basis. It shouldn't interfere. But you should have time to possibly, work on your project, as long as this isn't a project that's going to be like you come home from work at 5, you're working on that from 6 to 11, you go to bed and repeat cycle. Like that's not feasible. But if it's something you can work on an hour or two a day, it might be something you can do. It just depends on, I always think and encourage people to chase their goals before they have kids. Maybe even before you get married, like for some people, because once you bring any type of family or household into the situation, chasing your
accountability.
And chasing your personal goals gets that much more difficult because they're in the back seat now. So that's really what I have to say on that.
Yeah, and I think one thing that you would have going for you is when it is your business venture and it's something that you're doing on your own, you can be a little bit more flexible. Like a really good friend of mine is bivocational, so he's a full-time pastor and he's also a full-time general contractor, right? And he balances both of those things very well. Like he's got 2 daughters, they're in sports, like they, are involved in their school, they're involved in church, and being self-employed, you can knock out and go see a volleyball game or a basketball game, or participate, in a banquet or so on and so forth, and be present in those things, and you can say, all right, like I need to knock off, at this time today to go spend some time with them. And if I need to work a little bit late another day, like I can do that. But finding that work-life balance is a lot more easier when you're not tethered to a clock in and out 9 to 5 and somebody else making your schedule. You know, like there's definitely wisdom that comes into play, because you can also lose yourself in your work and trying to, you know, grind and hustle and get things started off too. So, man, use wisdom. You know, you have a good perspective of making your family first, but that shouldn't stop you from chasing your dreams. I mean, how many single mothers are out there that get their college degree with kids?
Yeah.
You know, like, it's possible. How hard are you willing to work for it?
That's very true. Maybe you need to wait till the kid goes to bed, wake back up and do some night grinding. Well, that sounded wrong. But you know, you get
that too, though. In marriage,
yeah, important in marriage. Anyway, so we're gonna have to close out on that note.
Oh my goodness!
You already got 40 minutes. This is longer than a normal episode. But make sure that you go and you follow us on Small World Media. You'll get our content as well as a few other shows. We have 2 more shows launching here normally. It will not be me and Ron, but it will be some of our close associates. I want to use that term, not and friends. But yeah, Small World Media. You can follow Small Talk on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you really find podcasts. Make sure to follow and give us a 5-star review. And if you do, and we are able, I think you can leave a note under it on Apple. If we see you, we'll give you a shout out. So we appreciate you listening. And Ronald, you want to tell them about that email?
Yeah, because it's not Small World, it's Small Talk. smallworldmedia@gmail.com. And I mean, for real, like Nate said, it would mean the world to us to even create that exposure and that credibility to, you know, what we're trying to do here, the time we're trying to take to create good content, to communicate with you guys, and to really, you know, enjoy what we're doing here. And it really would take a couple of seconds, you know, just a click on a 5-star or review, even just, you know, sharing it on Instagram if you follow us. I think my Instagram handle is at @ro.taylor. If you want to give me a follow, we share, you know, often all of our episodes airing, things like that. Man, give us a share, you tell your friends, give us a like, give us a review. Man, take the time to, you know, shoot us an email at smalltalk.smallworldmedia@gmail.com with advice, situations you've seen, situations that you're dealing with. It doesn't even necessarily have to be what you're going through specifically, right? Like, just anything that you want advice on, situations that you're curious about, even crazy things that you've heard of. Like, hit us up, give us some cool content, and then tune in the next week and hear what we have to say about it. But it would mean the world for you guys to go do that for us.
All right. Well, this has been your 4th episode of Small Talk. We'll see you next week.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a good one.